You've been carrying weight that no one sees. And the truth is, you're not here by accident. You didn't stumble across this message. This moment, right now, is a divine setup. There are over 8 billion people in the world, and out of every video, every distraction, every excuse, you landed here. That's not coincidence. That's God reaching through the noise of your life to pull you into something deeper, something urgent, something eternal. You've been asking for a sign, and this is it. So don't scroll, don't move. What you're about to hear could shift everything in your life. If you ignore it, don't blame God later. There's a reason why the pressure has been unbearable. Why the people you poured into left you empty. Why you've been overlooked, underestimated, misunderstood. It's not because you're cursed. It's not because you're unlucky. It's because you're chosen. And when you're chosen, life doesn't play fair. You've felt it since you were young. That pull, that difference. Maybe you couldn't name it. Maybe you thought something was wrong with you. You saw the world through different eyes. You carried burdens no one else could see. While others got to run free, you were walking through fire, and yet you never gave up. You're still here, still standing. And it's not just survival. It's proof that purpose has been preserved in you. The enemy tried to break you, but you didn't break. He tried to bury you, but he didn't know you were a seed. The truth is, you've been chosen for something bigger than yourself, something generational, something heavy. That's why your life doesn't look like everyone else's. That's why the battles hit you harder. Why every room you enter feels like a test. Why the weight never seems to lift. You've been asking God for relief, but maybe what you need isn't relief, it's revelation. Because what you call pressure, God calls preparation. He hasn't abandoned you. He's been shaping you, stretching you, positioning you. And this message is heaven's interruption before you miss what you were made for. Because let's be honest, how long have you been living beneath your calling? How long have you been surviving when you were built to lead? How many times have you said, "I'll deal with it later," while your window of destiny silently closed? It's not just about motivation. This is about obedience. This is about responding while there's still time. Because moments like this, when heaven leans in, don't come every day. You're not here to just work, pay bills and die. There's more. And that ache you feel inside, that quiet frustration, that holy dissatisfaction, that's purpose knocking. And if you ignore this, if you walk away from this divine moment, you may never get it back. Not like this. Not this clear. Don't say you didn't feel something. That chill down your spine, that heat in your chest. That's not emotion. That's God saying, this is it. You've been living life holding your breath, trying to stay strong for everyone else, telling yourself it's all going to make sense eventually. But what if it's meant to make sense now? What if all the confusion and chaos was the wrapping paper around your calling? You've been placed on this earth for a divine reason, and everything you've been through has been pointing you to this exact moment. You've been chosen, and that means something. It costs something. But it also means that God has placed something inside of you so valuable, so irreplaceable, that He couldn't let you go the easy route. And now He's asking you, will you step into it? Will you finally stop ignoring the call? Let's talk about that weight on your shoulders, the pressure you feel but can't explain, the kind that makes you cry in the shower but smile in public, the kind that keeps you up at night wondering why nobody checks on you, even though you're always the one checking on everyone else. You've asked yourself over and over, why is everything always on me? And the answer is simple, yet profound. You're not being punished. You're being positioned to carry what others couldn't, to build what others wouldn't, to stand when others would fall. You've been entrusted, not just tasked. And that weight, it's evidence of your assignment. Chosen ones aren't the loudest in the room. They're not always the most gifted, the most confident, or the most celebrated. but they're the ones who carry heaven's plans in hidden places. They walk quietly, but leave deep footprints. They cry often, but their prayers shake the earth. They've been misunderstood their whole lives because what's on their life hasn't been fully revealed yet. But it's coming. The revealing, the rising, the realization. And when it does, every burden, every betrayal, every lonely night will make sense. So I need you to understand this. The weight you feel isn't random. It's holy. It's divine. And if you keep carrying it like it's punishment, you'll miss the purpose inside it. God didn't choose you because you were ready. He chose you because He knew what He placed inside you would grow under pressure. So stop waiting for someone to come rescue you. Stop hoping someone else will take the lead. It's you. You were made for this. You were built for this. And if you don't answer the call, what's tied to your obedience will suffer. This isn't just about you anymore. It never was. You're not weak because you're tired. You're not crazy because you feel different. You're chosen. And the moment you accept that is the moment everything changes. This isn't just a message. It's a mantle. And God is handing it to you right now. What you do next will echo through generations. The choice is yours. But just know this. If you walk away unchanged, don't blame God later. Because He sent this word, this moment, this fire, for you. There's a battle you've been fighting that most people around you don't even know exists. You smile. You show up. You handle responsibilities like it's second nature. But beneath the surface, there's a constant war raging. One that's not physical but spiritual. A battle for your mind. A battle for your peace. A battle for your destiny. And the reason it's so intense isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're doing something right. You're a threat. You carry something valuable. You've been marked by heaven, and because of that you've been targeted by hell. You don't wrestle against flesh and blood. You wrestle against the unseen. Against the resistance that shows up every time you try to move forward. Against the delays, the distractions, the disappointments that hit you harder than others. The truth is, the warfare is real, and you feel it daily. It's in the way your thoughts spiral when no one's around. It's in the way you feel exhausted before the day even starts. It's in the way people misunderstand your heart, twist your intentions, and drain your energy until you question your worth. That's not normal. That's not random. That's evidence of spiritual warfare, and the more you ignore it, the more it festers. The enemy has studied you. He knows your breaking points. He knows your insecurities. He knows your patterns. And he doesn't just want to make you sad. He wants to distract you from purpose. He wants to bury your calling under busyness. He wants to keep you numb, passive, reactive. Because he knows what happens if you wake up. If you start walking in alignment with what God put in you. If you stop apologizing for being different. If you start speaking what you were anointed to speak. He loses territory. He loses influence. And that's why the attacks have intensified. Have you noticed that the closer you get to breakthrough, the more chaotic life becomes? Doors start to close. People start acting strange. Opportunities slip through your fingers. And the enemy whispers, "See, you're not called. You're forgotten. You're not strong enough to keep going." But that voice isn't truth. That's strategy. That's resistance. That's hell trying to push back against heaven's plans for your life. And if you're not spiritually aware, you'll call a divine test a personal failure. You'll think the battle is a sign to give up, when in reality, it's confirmation that you're on the edge of something major. Chosen ones don't get smooth paths. They get refined in fire. They get sharpened in silence. They get attacked, not because they're weak, but because of what they carry. So if you've been under pressure lately, if your mind feels like a war zone, if the doors you expected to open keep slamming shut, don't panic, don't shrink, don't retreat. Stand, because this is the fight before the fulfillment. This is the tension before the shift. This is the resistance that proves you're close. The enemy doesn't attack the directionless. He comes after the ones who are dangerous to darkness, and that's you. Whether you believe it or not, your obedience is a weapon. Your worship is a weapon. Your perseverance is a weapon. And every time you choose to keep walking when it would have been easier to quit, you gain ground. Heaven sees it. Hell feels it. And your destiny unfolds with every step. But here's the danger. Spiritual warfare becomes spiritual fatigue when you try to fight in your own strength. This battle isn't meant to be won alone. You weren't designed to carry it all without divine help. The moment you invite God into the fight, fully, completely, is the moment the tide begins to turn. Not because the battle disappears, but because now you fight with power that's greater than yours. You stop reacting, and you start advancing. You stop fearing, and you start walking in authority. And that's when the enemy loses his grip. Because nothing scares hell more than a chosen one who finally realizes they're not fighting for victory, they're fighting from it. But here's where most people miss it. They treat divine nudges like casual thoughts. They put off spiritual promptings like they're no big deal. They assume that obedience can wait, that purpose can pause, that calling can be scheduled around comfort. And that's how the enemy steals destinies, through delay. Not always through sin, sometimes through silence, sometimes through distractions that look like good things, sometimes through thoughts like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll say yes when I feel ready. But what if tomorrow never comes? What if the door that's open right now doesn't stay open forever? You don't need another sign. You don't need more confirmation. You've already felt it. God has already whispered. He's stirred your spirit, nudged your heart, placed visions in your dreams. But every time, you pushed it aside. You told yourself, when life calms down, when I'm stronger, when the timing is better. But purpose isn't waiting for your schedule. Heaven isn't adjusting to your comfort zone. There's a moment, an appointed moment, when God says, now. And if you miss it, it doesn't just affect you. It ripples through generations. Your yes could open doors for people who haven't even been born yet. Your obedience could break chains your family has carried for decades. But your delay, your hesitation, that could keep you, and them, stuck in cycles you were chosen to end. So let me ask you, how long will you wait? How long will you ignore that still small voice? How long will you keep telling God later when He's clearly saying now? Because delayed obedience is still disobedience. And if you keep saying not yet, don't be surprised when the opportunity passes, when the window closes, when someone else steps into what was meant for you. Not because God replaced you out of anger, but because His purpose must continue. And He'll use the willing. This is not a game. This is a divine moment, a tipping point, a now or never kind of crossroad. You're not hearing this by accident. You're being called, not gently, not politely, urgently. Heaven is interrupting your excuses. God is confronting your comfort. Because the time for playing small is over. The time for waiting on perfect conditions is over. This is your moment, your kairos, and what you do next will echo through eternity. There are people tied to your obedience that you haven't even met yet, faces you've never seen, children who haven't been born, lives waiting for one choice, your choice. And whether you realize it or not, your decisions today are shaping the future of generations. This is bigger than you. It's never been just about your comfort, your timeline, your convenience. It's about the ripple effect of your yes. The weight you carry isn't just personal, it's generational. The battles you face, the ones no one sees, the struggles that almost took you out, they're not just attacks, they're assignments. Because you're carrying a bloodline on your back. You're carrying breakthrough in your DNA. You're carrying healing in your words, freedom in your walk, fire in your prayers. You weren't just chosen to survive, you were chosen to be a deliverer, a cycle breaker, a spiritual architect, building a new blueprint for everyone connected to you. When you said, "I'll rise," heaven heard it, and so did hell. That's why the attack on your life has been so relentless. The enemy doesn't waste time on people without purpose. But you're a pillar. And when the enemy sees a pillar rising, he panics. Because he knows that when you get in alignment with your assignment, everything changes. Marriages are restored, addictions are broken, generations are blessed. So let me ask you, who is depending on you to rise? Who is silently hoping you don't give up? Who is waiting for you to take your place so they can find theirs? Every person you're called to impact is affected by what you choose to do with this moment. If you retreat, they remain in darkness. If you delay, they remain in bondage. If you say, "Not now," they may never know the freedom they were meant to receive through you. God doesn't just bless you for your sake. He blesses you so you can become the blessing. He anoints you so you can pour out. He positions you so others can rise through your obedience. And here's the truth you may not want to hear. If you stay silent, God will still accomplish His plan, but through someone else. And what should have been your reward will become someone else's testimony. The cost of delay isn't just missed opportunity, it's missed destiny. You were created to lead, not blend in. You were called to speak, not stay silent. And that tug in your spirit, that holy unrest that never goes away, it's not going to disappear, because you weren't made for comfort, you were made for purpose. And everything you've been through, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the financial pressure, the late night tears, it's all been setting you up to be the one in your family who says, "It stops with me." The one who says, "I will not pass this pain to the next generation. I will pass down purpose." But here's where the enemy starts whispering. He doesn't want you to see the weight as a sign of purpose. He wants you to see it as a sign of punishment. He wants you to believe that because your life has been hard, God has overlooked you. That because the pressure is constant, you're not equipped. That the calling must have skipped you because you feel unworthy. But that's the lie. The truth is this: God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. And if the weight has been heavy, it's because the calling is holy. You're not overwhelmed because you're weak. You're overwhelmed because you're underutilized. You were meant to lead nations, and you're trying to survive Mondays. It's time to shift your perspective, to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" The rejection wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to redirect you. The betrayal wasn't meant to crush you. It was meant to cut off dead weight. The silence wasn't abandonment. It was separation. You've been set apart for something sacred. That's why you don't fit in. That's why you can't be like everyone else. You've always felt different, and that difference was never a flaw. It was your mark, your sign, the evidence that God has placed something inside of you that the world needs, but doesn't yet recognize. Let's talk about this shift in perspective, because everything starts with how you see the struggle. When you shift from a survival mindset to a preparation mindset, the storm doesn't stop, but suddenly it has purpose. Suddenly, the pain that almost made you quit becomes the very foundation of your calling. You begin to see that every tear watered the soil for your future, that every no you endured was making room for the yes that heaven ordained, that every door that closed wasn't rejection, it was protection. You weren't supposed to walk through it. You were supposed to be rerouted. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour, all of it. It's been God's way of getting you to the right place at the right time with the right heart. You've been hidden, not forgotten. You've been tested, not tossed aside. You've been prepared in private so you can be released in power. Chosen ones aren't revealed too soon, because the weight of influence requires the strength of endurance. That's why you've been walking through fire while others seem to float. Because God isn't just making you visible, He's making you unshakable. He's building something in you that can't be faked, can't be stolen, can't be copied. And when it's time, when He says go, no demon in hell, no opinion on earth, no voice of doubt can stop what He's about to release through your life. But hear this clearly. It only happens if you agree with Him. You have to stop arguing with your assignment. You have to stop replaying who hurt you and start stepping into who you're called to heal. You have to stop measuring your worth by how others treated you and start walking in the authority that heaven already confirmed. You are not a mistake. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not disqualified. You are exactly where you need to be for God to say, "Now watch what I can do with someone who finally believes me more than their fear." This is where the shift begins. Not with outside circumstances changing, but with your inner narrative shifting. From "I'm not enough" to "I'm equipped." From "I'm exhausted" to "I'm evolving." From "Why me" to "Send me." Because God isn't looking for perfect vessels. He's looking for willing ones. And when you say yes with nothing but faith in your hands, heaven will move mountains on your behalf. But you have to see it. You have to believe it. And you have to be bold enough to say yes before it makes sense. This is the awakening, the rising, the unraveling of old thoughts, and the reclaiming of divine identity. And you don't have to wait for someone else to approve you. You don't have to wait for perfect timing. The shift doesn't happen when everything gets easier. It happens when you decide, "I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not shrinking anymore. I'm not apologizing for being chosen anymore." You may have been refined in secret, but you're about to rise in public. And when you do, when you fully step into it, it won't just change your life. It'll change every life connected to yours. Most people live just trying to make it through the week. They wake up tired, go to jobs they hate, survive the noise, numb the stress, repeat the cycle, and call it life. But something in you has always known that you weren't made for survival. You were made for multiplication. Not just money, not just success, legacy, impact, eternal weight. There's a reason you can't settle like everyone else. Why your spirit wrestles when you're not building something that lasts. Why you think about the future when others are obsessed with the now. That's because you've been called to carry more. You've been trusted with vision. And vision is costly. Vision isolates. Vision stretches you. Vision puts you in rooms where no one claps because they can't see what you see. But don't shrink. Don't apologize. Don't water down your dream just because it intimidates the faithless. You weren't called to think small. You were called to multiply. The enemy's biggest tactic isn't to destroy you with obvious attacks. It's to distract you with temporary comfort. If he can keep you focused on just surviving, he knows you'll never take the time to build. And he's terrified of what you might build. He doesn't fear a paycheck-to-paycheck Christian. He fears a kingdom-minded one. One who says, "I'm not just trying to make rent. I'm trying to establish a foundation that will outlast me." That's why the pressure has been so intense lately. That's why every time you try to plan ahead, something hits your finances, your focus, your energy. Because the devil knows that once you start thinking generationally, you're no longer just fighting for yourself. You're fighting for your children, your children's children, your community, your legacy. It's time to shift. Time to stop living like a survivor and start moving like a multiplier. Look at Joseph. When God gave him influence in Egypt, he didn't just gather enough food for himself. He didn't even stop at enough for his family. He built systems. He filled storehouses. He thought decades ahead. He planned for famine while others partied in their abundance. That's what you're being called to do. Not just gather, but steward. Not just pray, but prepare. Not just dream, but design. Every spiritual gift, every resource, every open door, It's not for you to sit on. It's for you to build with, to multiply, to structure something heaven can bless. But multiplication doesn't start with opportunity. It starts with obedience. God's not asking you to have it all figured out. He's asking you to stop thinking like someone who's just trying to make it to next week. He's calling you to lift your head and look further, to start asking questions like, what will my grandchildren inherit? What will my city remember about my obedience? What fruit will come from my life long after I'm gone? Because that's what you were born for. Not for chasing stability, but for establishing legacy. And legacy doesn't begin when you're old. It begins the moment you say, I'm done living small. But here's what happens. We hear messages like this and we feel inspired, but we still delay. We still hesitate. We wait for one more sign, one more confirmation, one more perfect condition. And while we wait, doors begin to close. Opportunities begin to shift. The window that was once wide open begins to narrow, because in the kingdom of God, timing matters. There are divine moments, kairos moments, that come with an expiration date. And when they show up, you don't get to say, let me think about it. You either step through or you stay stuck. That's what most people never understand. Some doors won't be there next week. Some assignments, if not accepted now, pass on to someone else. Not because God stopped loving you, but because the work must go on. How many times have you felt the nudge to move? How many nights have you laid awake, knowing there was more inside of you than what your life currently reflects? And yet, how many times have you told yourself, later, tomorrow, when I'm ready? But what if you never feel ready? What if the readiness doesn't come until after you say yes? What if the miracle is on the other side of your movement, not before it? That's the cost of delay. Missing what was already written in your favor because you weren't willing to act when the moment showed up. Look around. This isn't just a season. It's a shift. And heaven is waiting for your response. The reason this message is reaching you now isn't because you're behind. It's because you're right on time. But that doesn't mean you can stay still. There's urgency in the spirit. This is the tipping point. This is the moment you decide if you're going to keep managing the weight of what could be, or if you're going to step fully into what must be. Will you retreat again, or will you finally rise? You've been equipped with everything you need: the strength, the insight, the faith, the resilience. Even the scars, yes, the scars, are part of your qualification. You've been through too much to go back. You've survived too many storms to play it safe now. You know too much to pretend you're not chosen. The truth is, you're not just being invited to rise, you're being commanded. Not by man, by heaven. This is your rising. This is your revealing. This is your release into the season that has your name written all over it. The one where everything starts making sense. The one where what tried to kill you becomes the foundation of your influence. So stand up in the spirit. Lift your head. Square your shoulders. This isn't the time to question your calling. It's time to walk in it. With authority. With clarity. With fire. You are not who you used to be. You are not the broken version of yourself that doubt keeps trying to resurrect. You are not small. You are not forgotten. You are not average. You are chosen, anointed, called, set apart. You've been through the fire, and you didn't come out smelling like smoke. You came out refined, sharpened, unshakable. The world hasn't seen the best of you yet, but it's coming. Because now, you rise. And when you rise, you don't just rise for yourself. You rise for your family. You rise for the people who gave up hope. You rise for every little kid who was told they weren't enough. You rise for every person who's still trapped in a mindset you were born to break. You rise for the silent prayers of your ancestors. You rise for heaven's agenda. You rise because hell tried to stop you and failed. You rise because the weight didn't crush you, it crowned you. And now, with heaven watching, hell trembling, and generations waiting. The question isn't if you'll rise, it's how. Will you rise with humility? Will you rise with intention? Will you rise ready to build, ready to multiply, ready to lead? Because this moment, this exact moment, is your line in the sand. Everything behind you was preparation. Everything ahead of you is destiny. You can't stay in between. It's time to move. It's time to carry the mantle you've been entrusted with. It's time to declare over your life with boldness, I will not die with what God placed inside me. I will not leave this earth full. I will rise. I will build. I will release every ounce of purpose before I take my last breath. And that declaration, it's not just words. It's a contract between you and the one who formed you. So say it now. Let it echo in your soul. Let it shake the fear off your bones. I am chosen. I am ready. I am rising. Now.